This is the plaintiff, Yvonne Vargas. She says the defendant is a builder who bought the property next to hers. While he was clearing the land to build a house, a large tree fell on her chain link fence, causing it to fall. Now the defendant is blaming his tree guy for the damage and is refusing to pay her the $1,425 it's going to cost her to replace her fence. She's suing for $1,725, the $1,425 for the fence repair, and another $300 for cement spillage all over her property. This is the defendant, Bob Fisher. He says a gust of wind blew a tree he was having cut down onto the plaintiff's fence, damaging one section of it. A quick and easy repair, but the plaintiff dug in her heels and demanded an entirely new fence. Well, he's a nice guy who was willing to repair the fence, but replace the 20-year-old thing with a brand new one? Come on. He's accused of fouling up a fence.
All parties, please raise your right hands. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Your Honor, litigants have been sworn.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Vargas,
Yes.
you live next door to a property that is being developed by Mr. Fisher, correct?
Yes.
And before Mr. Fisher bought that, what was there? What was next door?
It was just woods, like a big forest. Grandma moved here many years ago, was over 85 years old. Big, tall trees and a whole forest.
Okay. So, Mr. Fisher, you bought it to develop it and sell it on spec or for yourself?
On spec.
Okay, so that means you were going to develop. Are you done with the construction or not yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it for sale?
It's already sold and transferred ownership.
Okay. All right. So I imagine, because I know how I would feel if I lived next to beautiful woods and then all of a sudden there was a construction project, that this was not like your first choice. This wouldn't have been your plan A, correct?
Correct. It was beautiful.
Okay. But of course, that's private property and they have,
Yes.
He has the right.
Every
All right. So
right,
in any
of
event, so
course.
construction is going on for how long before the tree falls?
It had to be throughout the year, I think. I don't have the exact dates, but little by little was going on. So
Okay.
we weren't
All
giving
right.
any notice. I hear the noise. I go outside. I'm actually taking the dog out. And the tree, one of the big trees, because many trees were falling throughout the whole day. Branches kept falling. Everything kept falling. It was a very big forest. And it fell right in front of me
When
with
you
the
say
dog, like a few
falling, you
feet.
mean there was a hold on one second. When you say falling,
The
you mean that
earth
there was
shook.
a tree guy out there cutting them? Right. Okay, go
He's
ahead.
cutting all the trees. It felt, this one particular one, many trees were falling throughout the day. Many branches were falling on the fence line. But the big one, one of the biggest ones, it shook the ground. That's how hard. I mean, literally. And I had the dog in my hand. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so close. But because it was a big tree, like it fell all the way across the property.
You don't happen to have a picture of the tree on the fence, do you?
No, because the boys, whoever
Okay.
with the tree people were, they cut the tree. They were cutting it and cutting it to
Okay.
get it off.
Right. Okay. So now I saw a series of texts between you and the people who were cutting the trees where they're asking
Yeah.
you to please give them a chance to fix a fence. And I can see from this picture that your fence was pretty destroyed. I mean, that is going to require some
Yes.
love and care. Mr. Fisher, let me ask you, how are you first alerted to the damage that happened to the neighbor's property?
The owner of the tree cutting company called me and told me that a gust of wind grabbed the tree as it was falling, which of course then I got in my car.
What are the
I
odds
drove
of
to
that,
site.
right? Yeah.
I mean, it's astonishing. But I arrived on site. I told him, if you look at the photographs that I sent or she sent, you'll see the uprights. The uprights are set into concrete. The only thing that was damaged on that, it looks much worse than it is just the top rail. And those top rail pieces are only $20 a piece. With that, I instructed the tree guy immediately stop, go out to Home Depot, grab 3 sections plus an entire new 50-foot roll of fence, and we have to put it back together. And that's how I
Right,
became
but what
aware.
expertise? Right, but she didn't want that to happen. Ms. Vargas, you didn't want the landscaping guy who had just exhibited a great degree of negligence, because I don't believe that a magical gust of wind blew the tree. I think he miscalculated where to make the cut. You didn't want the landscaper to be the person who repaired it, correct?
He's not a fence person, Your Honor. I had a particular, the fence was just put up 2 years ago. I wanted the same man to put it up, and they took it out without even asking me. I have children and animals here, and it was compromised on both ends. All the popping up when the people came to estimate, everybody told me the same thing. The whole line was compromised.
I have a question for you. Were they trying to fix it without even consulting you?
Yes, they didn't even ask me. They started ripping apart the fence. I looked out the bathroom window. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I have children and I have animals. Nobody asked me anything.
Why didn't somebody, Mr. Fisher, why didn't somebody knock on her door and tell her, hey, we had this accident, why didn't somebody alert her? What if she let out her pit bull and then the pit bulls end up attacking the workers? I mean.
According to the contractor, he did.
And according to you, he didn't. He had already visited Home Depot and started trying to do stuff.
Yes, no one said this is what we're going to do.
How did
Nothing.
you first learn that they were trying to fix it? You walked out and you saw the rolls of fence.
I went to get my phone so I could take pictures, and the bathroom window, if you look out, you get the whole view. And I'm like, they're taking apart the whole thing. They didn't ask me anything, and I said, please stop. What are you doing? And they ripped the whole thing apart, and they didn't ask me anything. Nothing.
Okay. I have a question for you. Why is it that you're suing Mr. Fisher and not the tree company?
I did speak to the tree company, and we did have a little bit of communication gap as far as the language was concerned. And then I went down to town hall, and I asked them, this is the builder, what do I do? And they told me, you can file a complaint. He's the builder, so he's responsible for everybody involved in the project, and then you have to go to small claims court. So that's what I did.
Okay. Let me ask you, Mr. Fisher, what is the relationship between you and the tree people?
This was a unique project. The lot was very small and the trees were very large. Normally, my excavator would take care of it, but because the trees were 80 feet and the property itself was only 60 feet wide, he didn't feel comfortable bringing in a heavy machine to move it. So this was a one-off for me. I've never done it in 300 houses. I've never done it. But I had to hire a tree company. It was the only way to get the big trees out.
All right, Mr. Fisher, you are the general contractor on the project?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and as the general contractor, would you not be responsible for the work of all your subcontractors?
They have their own insurance, so they have to provide hold harmless agreements.
Right, Mr. Fisher, what you're saying is true, but that allows you to get reimbursement from them if somebody sues you. But in this circumstance, because you're the general contractor, she is appropriately suing you and telling you, hey, you hired all these subs, you're responsible for what they do. So, and then you can turn around and get reimbursed, okay, in a concept in the law called subrogation. But that's your business. Her business is to get a new fence put in. And I kind of agree with you, and I saw the estimates from the fence people that's its own issue. I'm a little bit concerned about that you can't just put it together with chewing gum and spit. It's something that needs to be addressed for the stability of the fence, especially if you have children and pets, but always anyway, because who knows when a strong gust of wind is going to come. And so you need something that's done correctly. My question to you is, there's a second bill from a landscaper for $300. What is that for? Because I saw a little bit of cement on the ground. Why would that be $300? Okay,
so what happened was, it wasn't just the cement, Your Honor. It was the saplings that were broke. My grandmother had the whole raspberry garden over there, and we had planted saplings. I thought I sent pictures of some of the broken trees, but also the cement had to be dug up because they took the truck and they cleaned it out. You know, when you lay cement and then it comes out of the thing, that was all on the property, and that had to be dug out and removed. You're not allowed to, you have to put it in a certain place. Apparently, if it's cement, you can't just throw it out.
Okay,
yep,
I'm looking at these pictures. Do you see the picture? Right, but you're taking a picture of his property right there. That's his property.
That's mine is where, do you see, that's all my property to the right. The cement is on my side.
Okay, but that's just a little bit of cement. Why would that ever be $300? But and this is
Well,
this
that's
is
what
like a weed.
they charged
really.
me
I
to
mean, I
dig
don't
it
know if
out,
I'd call
and
that a
then they had to
sapling.
take all the broken saplings and then to replace the saplings. So that's what the landscaper charged.
They replaced saplings?
Well, Grandma had the raspberry garden, or bushes, as you would call. So there were trees that were planted. We had saplings, because this is winter. It's very hard to see. And then we
Did
had all
they
the cement.
replace the saplings? Did they replace saplings in that bill? I didn't see anything about that.
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff says the defendant was doing work cutting down a tree when it fell on her fence. She wants him to build her a new one. He's saying she's trying to gouge him, that it could be repaired, and he's happy to do it. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Well, he just cleared
bill.
everything up for me, and then, we replaced it afterwards. But he cleaned the cement.
So $300 is, so literally $300 is for digging up that little bit of cement and cleaning up your
Cleaning
yard.
all the broken trees and all the
Yeah,
broken
I'm not
bushes
gonna
and
order-
everything.
Yeah, I think 300 is excessive for that. I see very little of the cement on your yard. I am going to order the defendant to pay you the amount for repairing the whole side of that fence appropriately, which is $1,425, and an additional $100 for cleaning up that little bit of cement, for a total judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $1,525. That's my verdict. Good luck.
Could I
folks.
interrupt?
Thank you, Judge.
Could I? I'm sorry.
That's
You,
okay. Go
you
ahead.
took her side. You took her side, but you didn't hear
Yeah, that's what
my
happens. There's a
side.
winner and a loser. Right. What's your side?
Right, but I didn't present a case. So
right.
you
So
need
tell
to
me
go
what
to
you'd
the
like to say that you didn't get to say.
Okay, so if you see the location of that fence, that fence is out of possession. She put a fence 15 feet inside her property line, which is why my attorney said I could not fix the fence because it was not on the property line. Upon
No, you're not-
transfer
you-
of
you
that
shouldn't-
property,
Right.
upon
Right, but here's the
transferring
thing.
of that property,
You're still,
her property
hold
was out
on
of possession.
and listen to me. I don't know what you're talking about, out of possession. If you go to my property and you break something on my property, I'm going to sue you and you're going to have to pay for it. Not you get to go on there and fix it with chewing gum and spit. You're going to have to pay for it. Your lawyer's right. Don't trespass onto her property. But I presume that your lawyer also told you you're going to have to foot the bill. You just don't like the size of the bill because it would have been cheaper to make the tree guy fix it. Yeah, we're done.
So
That's my ruling.
the second. Okay.
Well, the plaintiff wins the case. The defendant obviously is a little bit upset. Let's talk to him about it. Mr. Fisher, tell me what your reaction is. What are you thinking?
She erected a new fence in a completely new position because she had to by law. It had nothing to do with the tree falling down on a fence.
Well, the bottom line is it's on her property. The original fence was damaged by your tree guy.
Right.
It's on her property. The judge says you got to pay for it. I'm sorry, but that's the way
Right.
it is. Ms. Vargas, let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
Sure.
the decision now? Are you glad you sued?
Yes, no, I'm glad. She's a very fair judge, and I'm happy about the decision.
Very good. One side loves the judge, the other side doesn't. Thank you very much, Ms. Vargas. Congratulations. You're going to get your money. Now, let us join Judge Marilyn Milian and her husband, Judge John, for another session of After the Verdict.
So, Marilyn, sometimes a lawsuit like this comes before you and it presents these kind of thorny legal issues about issues like agency, whether someone is an independent contractor, whether there's subrogation, which is a concept that you spoke about very briefly. You said you have a subrogation claim. Can you explain what that kind of means?
Yeah. So if a lot of people think that if I, as a homeowner, hire a company to do something, and that company does something negligently, that I, as the homeowner, am going to owe the money.
Not always true, right?
That isn't true. It's different in this case because the defendant was the general contractor.
Ah, okay.
And so she's suing him because there is all this other law that talks about the general contractor being, it's part of the agreement between him and the permitting, is that he, and the permitting authority, which is the government, is that he is responsible for all of his subs. And then he has the right of subrogation, which means the right to go seek reimbursement from the tree company for whatever he had to shell out here.
First, he's got to take out his checkbook.
First, he takes out his checkbook.
And it's the same concept as when you have car insurance. I'm driving my car down the street, I have insurance, somebody runs a stop sign, hits my car and totals it. My insurance company is going to pay me but they have a subrogation claim to go and sue the guy who ran the stop sign and get the money
And try to
from them,
get back to
right?
recoup the money.
Very
Right.
well. Okay.
Well, William, this is a little bit complicated because, yes, you can sue for police brutality if the police brutalized you in the arrest. If they made a false arrest, you could theoretically sue unless there is a certain type of immunity which some states and some police departments have. So you're going to have to check in your city and in your state to find out if you're allowed to sue if the police cross the legal line. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way in the courtroom right now.